Greetings, everybody, and welcome to PlaidStallions Toy Ventures. I am Brian, your host, and this week, as the holidays approach, I thought it would be a perfect time to dip into my collection of toy store flyers. I've been obsessed with these things since I was a little kid, and I love preserving them because they are just perfect little time capsules. I mean, I pick one of these up and they just take me right back to being a kid, that sense of wonder, anticipation. It sincerely has to be connected to why I do this to this day. And this episode, I've got a special one, the latest in my collection, a 1982 Toy Parade flyer for Canadian Tire. Canadian Tire is a unique retailer here. It is an institution in Canada. And I have a really great personal history with it. Not only do I have fond memories of going there as a kid and getting cool toys, however, in my professional life, I've also ended up working with Canadian Tire on multiple projects and promotions, and I've always really enjoyed my time with them. They're a really quality company. Plus, where else can you give like Santa and save like Scrooge? Just as an aside, most Canadian Tires did not have a fixed toy section. The toys would kind of come in November and leave in January. And I also remember that sometimes last year's toys would show up on the shelves, which was also exciting. Like they went to a warehouse and they came back, so you get a second chance on toy lines that were no longer available. So let's break into this. I'm going to do a little montage, and then I'm going to talk about some of my favorite things in this catalog. Hang tight. Just a quick word that issue 11 of Toy Ventures magazine, the magazine based on this channel, is now available. It features articles on the Tonka steel monsters, Mego superheroes, and much more. A lot of love went into this one. Thanks for considering. So there you have it, the 1982 Canadian Tire Toy Parade. This one's a little bit car heavy, if you noticed, and that is probably intentional. Canadian Tire is a automotive parts store, first and foremost. However, there's some real gems in here otherwise. My number one concern, favorite thing in here would have to be the Remco mini monsters, and there's a couple of reasons for that. Mainly because I do collect these. I love this line, and I have been trying for ages to get this set on Canadian cards. They were brought into Canada under the Irwin Toys brand. I don't recall them actually being very popular here. I remember they just sat on shelves for a long time. True story, I was in first year university in 1991, and I found a carded Wolfman at the Simpsons at Yorkdale Mall. So they were really, really stuck around. Also, I wish I kept that Canadian carded Wolfman. Where is it now? So if you have carded Remco monsters with this Irwin logo and you're looking to sell them, keep in touch. I would love to chat. The Atari 2600 is how I'd answer the question, how'd you spend your 1982? I was full-on obsessed with this system, and my favorite game was Adventure, something I still love to this day. 1982 may be the most I was ever into video games. Case in point, I begged my parents for one of these Coleco mini arcades. Galaxian was the one I absolutely wanted the most. They would not budge. They were like, you have an Atari, you're not getting this. Eventually I hung out with some kid who had one, and I was kind of bored of it by the first 15 minutes, so bullet dodged. Space Lego is another unrequited toy love of mine, and I always like to point it out when I see it. I had neighbors with it, and I would ask my parents for it, but I would always just end up getting regular Lego sets. I wasn't deprived at all. I had an abundance, but these always fascinated me, and turns out my wife had a bunch of this stuff as a kid and ended up collecting it in the early 2000s, and I kind of got to vicariously live through her, and boy, I still really admire these toys. For things not on my want list, the Pac-Man board game comes pretty close to being number one. I never saw the point of a board game based on a video game, and it just sounded like slow Pac-Man. And finally, I just had to smile seeing the Smurf modeling set. Not that I had that, but I did have a couple of DAS sets as a kid, and boy, I could not make anything look as good as it was on the box. It wasn't even close. I had a set that I think were space characters inspired by Star Wars. I got this great idea that if I made a bunch of background characters, my Star Wars play would be, better, but they just looked terrible and embarrassing, and I don't think I ever used them. So there you go, folks. That's my look at the 1982 Canadian Tire Toy Parade flyer. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'd like to get your feedback on what, if you were able to get one thing from this flyer, what would it be? What toy would you pick out of this circular? Let me know in the comments below, or hit me up in our Facebook group PlaidStallions, where we talk about this kind of important thing. Thanks again for watching, especially to the end. That really helps out the algorithm. If you are new, please consider hitting like and subscribe. We do this every week. If you're not new, please consider sharing with a friend. I'll be back this week with a new podcast. Until next time, be well and talk toys, not other people. Cheers.